Hey Homeberries. Today I have another character review. It's a little different though because it's mainly addressing perceptions about a character that I'm not sure are entirely accurate. And me giving my thoughts. As always, you can take it or you can leave it. I'm just getting my thoughts out there. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about the movie Aladdin, meaning the original 1992 animated version by Disney. I haven't seen the remake and don't plan to. If you like it, that's fine. It's just I'm generally not interested in the live action remakes. So I really can't say anything good or bad, just that I haven't seen them because I'm not interested. One thing I thought recently, I thought about the Prince Ali number. It was interesting. There's that part, the Sultan goes to the door to let in Prince Ali and his entourage. Jafar closes the door like, oh, I've got him now, and Abu in elephant form kicks open the door. I thought, did Jafar really expect that to be the end of it? Like he'll shut the door and the Sultan will think, oh, well, I guess they're not coming in then. I have to forget about all that. Then that got me started to thinking, there are perceptions of the Sultan in Aladdin that I'm not sure are entirely accurate. The main things that some people think are he's a gullible idiot who mainly let Jafar do whatever he wanted, and that he was restrictive. I thought I'm not sure it's as bad as some people make it out to be, so I think I'll do this. I'll go scene by scene from what I can remember, and then I can go back and elaborate on some points if I didn't talk about them in depth the first time. So when we first meet the Sultan, it's after Jasmine has rejected a suitor. There the suitor leaves angry with the seat of his pants torn off by Raja the tiger. And it was one of these interesting movie mistakes you have to wonder about. You could see his underwear, but the cloth Raja has in his mouth is not the pants fabric, it's the underwear fabric, so people have speculated, was he wearing two pairs of underwear? And Raja tore the first pair and the pants. It is what it is. The Sultan first scolds Jasmine for rejecting all these suitors, saying, oh, you have to you can't keep rejecting suitors, you have to get married eventually. So he starts out scolding, but before too long he's talking with her. He notes, oh, well, I want to make sure that you're looked after, you're looked after I've gone, and I want the kingdom to be in good hands. So he has that rule, she's not allowed to leave the palace. I don't think it's just to be restrictive, though. It sounds to me like he thinks he's doing the right thing. He understands she's unhappy, but he doesn't quite realize how restrictive he's being. Someone made a point online. Someone said, oh, well, if the movie were true to life, Jasmine wouldn't have a say and she'd just have to do whatever she was told to do. Not going to talk a lot on that because I don't like sort of generalizing like, oh, well, everyone from an area or culture acts the same way. That's not a good thing to do. So I'd also like to know whether you think the point is valid or not. I'm not entirely sure why they said that. It's interesting that they look, and I apologize if I'm being insulting. It's interesting that someone looked at a movie with a flying carpet and a genie who can conjure up dozens of servants and animals and this massive entourage and this tiger-headed or panther-headed cave that can form out of the sand and talk and has... it's interesting that they looked at one aspect of that movie and said, oh, okay, that's not realistic. You know, I'm just joking. You know, I'm being lighthearted rather than insulting, but it's an interesting point. It does make you think the the Sultan is not trying to be oppressive in anything. He's trying to protect Jasmine. He may not be going about it in quite the right way, but he really is looking out for her. He's trying to look out for her safety and her future, so it's not entirely right what he's doing. He shouldn't have had that rule that she couldn't leave the palace, but he meant well. I should note, I heard recently that in the remake, again, this is just what I've heard because I haven't seen it. In the remake, they say, oh, well, Jasmine's mother was murdered, I guess, by a political enemy, and that's why he's so worried for Jasmine's safety. So, some things you do think about. You can form theories, oh, maybe it's like this or like that. Later, after Jasmine went outside and met Aladdin, there was all this stuff that happened. There was the part in which Jasmine thought that Jafar had Aladdin executed because that's what he wanted her to think, so she wouldn't ask well, actually, he did intend to murder Aladdin, so it's not like a witness protection program or anything like that. He really was going to kill Aladdin, so there was Jasmine sad about that, and the Sultan came to her, saw she was sad. He and he wanted her, tell me what's wrong. He wanted to help her. You know, when she was sad, he was sad. There was some, oh yeah, at no point did he criticize her. We were never shown that. It was never implied. He never said, oh, well, it's your fault. He never said, oh, well, that's just some street rat. No, he was concerned because she was concerned. In the aftermath, he was pretty naive because he told Jafar to apologize and he thought that would be the end of it. It would be resolved. But it wasn't a sign of maliciousness, I don't think. It's just that he didn't think too much about it. So it's like, oh, well, that's the end of that. again, you can theorize maybe he's had situations like that before, and they seem to have been resolved that easily, or also he still trusted Jafar at this point, so I guess his thinking was, oh well, mistakes were made, but we'll do better next time. So he was kind of simple-minded, kind of brushing it off, but he still acknowledged that that was something unfortunate that had happened. Then later, when it turned out he was being controlled, he was understandably angry with Jafar and wanted him punished immediately. So I'm going to touch some more on points and then talk about the end. I already talked about why I feel he was restrictive, but he wasn't as terrible as some people would make him out to be, because he wasn't cruel or anything like that. He just didn't understand what he was doing fully, or he didn't realize how he didn't fully realize the effect it had on Jasmine. Talking about some people saying, oh, well, he's a gullible idiot. I'm not saying he's smart, just that I don't think he's as stupid as some people make him out to be. One reason I think that a lot of people assume he's stupid is, frankly, because he was fat and short. You see a lot of characters that are fat and short, and they're doofuses. Like, you look at LeFou from Beauty and the Beast, again, the animated version. He was a doofus. That's another one. His heart was in the right place. For instance, that whole Gaston number was inspired by him wanting to cheer up Gaston. So, another reason why some people look at him like an idiot that I don't think is valid is because, oh, well, Jafar looked at him as an idiot. Well, Jafar looked at everyone negatively. There's this guy that we know we can't trust as far as we can throw the dome of the rock, and why should we trust? Why do we go, oh, well, if Jafar thinks it, then it must be true? Also, the part about, oh, he let Jafar do whatever he wanted. Well, he was mind-controlled half the time. Jafar had that hypnotic snake staff that he used to control him. There was the part with the ring near the beginning, not too long after the beginning. He told the Sultan, well, I need your ring. He didn't want to give it to him at first. So see, that's a sign he's not just doing everything Jafar tells him to do, because he didn't want to let him have the ring that was important to him. Jafar had to hypnotize him with the staff just to get the ring from him. then at other points he used the staff to control him. If I recall correctly, there was a funny moment. Jafar was hypnotizing with the staff to get him to agree to let him marry Jasmine, and the Sultan snapped out of it for a second. But you're so old. So, in case you couldn't hear me due to my chuckling, he said, but you're so old. So even then he's thinking, wait, maybe this isn't what's best for Jasmine. We don't know how Jafar got the job either. I don't know that he was hypnotizing him from the beginning. Remember, Jafar had a lot of experience. He had a lot of knowledge. So, just at some point, and I know someone's probably going to think, oh, well, there's this story in this book that told how they met, and you're dumb for not knowing. Well, I don't know all the lore. In what I looked up earlier, it didn't tell how the Sultan and Jafar met. I don't know if he were recommended or they just happened to meet. But here the Sultan is wanting a vizier. And there's this guy who seems impressive. He has book smarts, knowledge, seemingly wisdom. He knows all sorts of mystic stuff. It's understandable that the Sultan would think, oh, well, hey, he'd be a good addition. So, again, also, Jafar put up a facade that fooled a number of people. Jasmine wasn't having any of it, although you have to wonder, if Jafar hadn't tried to kill Aladdin, how long would it have taken her to become as distrustful of him as she became? So I don't think anyone in the palace mistrusted Jafar until, other than Jasmine, I don't think anybody in the palace distrusted Jafar until he got exposed. So you could argue how much of a chance the Sultan, how do I want to word it? It's not, I'll put it this way, it's not like Jafar was blatantly evil in his, well, obviously he was evil, but he put up a facade. So it's not like everybody other than the Sultan was thinking, oh, this guy's a lowlife, and the Sultan was just ignorant. He had everyone fooled. When he couldn't get what he wanted, he resorted to the hypnotic staff. So I think I've said it already, but I'll say it again. No, he didn't just let Jafar do whatever he wanted. Well, with those points out of the way, I'll go ahead and talk about later on in the movie. After he realized Jafar had been controlling him, he realized that Jasmine approved of Prince Ali, and he was grateful his daughter had finally chosen a suitor. So Sorry, I forgot the point I was trying to make, but oh yeah, it was that he was glad for her. He let her make her own decision, and he was happy because he thought, oh, well, there's someone who will take care of things after I'm gone. I trust Jasmine will be in good hands. Finally, at the end of the movie, Aladdin and Jasmine had saved the day. They were talking about, well, Aladdin's not a prince, and the Sultan said, oh, the Sultan realized, well, hey, I'm the Sultan. I can forget about the rule. You know, this guy is the guy for my daughter. I agree to let her marry him even though he's not a prince. So in the end, he did what was right for everybody rather than just go along with tradition. I think I've had more drinks of water during this than Jafar had evil schemes, but in conclusion, the Sultan is not a perfect character. He's not the smartest character, or he didn't always do exactly what he was right, but in the end he had a good heart. He tried to, even though he wanted his daughter to do a certain thing, he was kind, he wasn't manipulative, he was honest about how he felt. He didn't choose good company at first, but when he did learn he was being manipulated and controlled, he didn't try to make excuses. Because sadly, some people, when they're controlled, they do make excuses. We've seen it before, like, oh, well, it wasn't that bad, and such and such. So, all in all, I think the Sultan's a good egg. You may agree or disagree, but that's how I feel about it. So, it's interesting. Sometimes you may think about a character or something you haven't thought about in years or never really thought much about, period. So I think I've rambled all I can, so have a blessed night, everybody.